their confidence in you. Go to rocketmortgage.com or call us today at 8338-ROCKET.
A verified approval is based on an underwriter's analysis of your individual financial information, appraisal, and title report. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender license in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Let's start with everyone out there who loves flexing in the mirror. Now, narrow it to all those muscle squeezers who hate stretching their wallet. Well, with My Walgreens, members earn an extra 5% in Walgreens cash rewards on Walgreens brand items. So head to Walgreens for great deals, or limp if you're like me and forgot to stretch while getting in the car. Ow, my calves!
Right now, stock up on everything from pain relievers to vitamins.
The only thing more awkward than being called the wrong name is when it's your own fault.
This one is a guy by the name of Maurice, and this is important to check your emails before you send them. What we don't do many times is we don't look at our emails before we fire them off to a client or to a coworker, and this one falls in that category. Maurice is the guy's name. He said, "This is the most embarrassing email exchange I ever had. I sent an email. They replied and called me Matisse. M-A-U-T-I-C-E. His name."
Welcome to Inside the Skev, and I'm your host, Aaron Masliansky. Today we have a delicious episode of Inside the Skev for you all. We've got Alan Moy from Viet Nom Nom, which is a great restaurant in downtown Evanston and some other locations as well, and we're going to talk about that. But it is a Vietnamese-inspired fast casual restaurant located at 618 and a half Church Street in Evanston. They serve a craft, health-inspired menu and strive to put a modern, unique fingerprint on traditional Vietnamese dishes that appeal to all walks of life while offering customers better-for-you food. Alan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Aaron, good morning and happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. It's great to have you here. And, you've got such a great business, and I feel like you have been a great example of somebody who's been adapting to what we've gone through in this past year, especially for a restaurant. I mean, you're actually the first restaurant I've had on in the past year. I've had one other restaurant on the show before, Blind Faith Cafe. But I love what you're doing, and I think it's so interesting and important for people to learn about the story of your restaurant, how you got into this, and how you've really adapted and succeeded. So tell us, why did you start this restaurant and when?
Oh gosh, this food business is every bit my DNA, in my blood, in the best kind of way. My parents, they were teachers by trade, and they were teachers at bookends of their career, but they were crazy enough to have me build their home out in Downers Grove and open their own restaurant all in the same year. So they followed in my grandparents' footsteps, and so I think they just kind of passed this torch to me in the best kind of way. I take after my mom in particular, and just I think all that chaos that I was born into and the wonderful food around me just every day was just something that never left me. So being in food from day one has never left me. I certainly took a different path, even including stops on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley. But for me, it was always about food. And throughout that entire path forward, even if it didn't look the same way on paper, there was always some element of getting myself trained, focused, and on that journey towards food. But I love food. It's family, culture, it's everything I really believe in. So.
And there's even like on your LinkedIn page, you have that video from Jewel where they're featuring different people around Chicago. And at that time you were in banking, but you were talking about the food and the connection to your family and your heritage and gathering all the foods and making it for your family. I mean, did that video kind of give you that idea in your head, like, I've got to go into business and do this?
Yeah, honestly, that was around 2014, 2015. So just about a year plus out from Nom Nom. But to your point, it's interesting, that dichotomy of a guy in a suit on Sal Street, and then all of a sudden talking about food. And I think at one point they certainly followed me into a duel going grocery shopping, which is seriously one of my favorite things in the world. If we talk about family or girlfriend, there's nonstop chatter about just how often I get to grocery stores in a week. But yeah, I think at that time, in that stage, it was interesting. And this is a part of me always, where I never really saw myself in finance, never really wanted to be there, let's say long term, but I certainly was very passionate about the roles that I had and the people that I worked for and with. And at that time with the commercial in 14, 15, it was an important point for me because it wasn't my first gig in Wall Street, or let's say, in banking. I started at JP Morgan and I took a detour to Groupon, but when I went back to US Bank, or went to US Bank and back to banking, it was really because I followed my mentor at JP Morgan. And Joe to this day is a friend, mentor, and everything in between. And it was important because I took a more conscious effort back into that space. But during that time, I knew exactly that I still wanted to get to food, and the things that I was doing concurrently with my professional endeavors really kind of took full circle shape. So at one point I included starting a philanthropic event planning company that kind of kept me close to hospitality without infringing on my full-time professional career. And everything that I did, whether at the US Bank it involved working with the Illinois Restaurant Association or sponsoring the Chicago Gourmet for US Bank, investment outlooks at some marquee restaurants in Chicago for our clientele. It was just this constant intersection in the best kind of way. So some of those commercials with Jewel or some of the anecdotes that I had during that time really spoke to, like you said, blending those two worlds in the best kind of way, and certainly springboarding me into what I do today, every day.
I think that's awesome. It's an inspiring story. I mean, where did you get the idea though to do a Vietnamese style restaurant? Did you ponder different ideas of different types of foods?
Certainly, on a personal level, I have Chinese roots, and there's always this kind of itch to want to really explore how to retell the stories around the food that I ate growing up, from mom to grandma to anybody making food for me or going into Chinatown. But I think, my business mind kind of collided with my food mind, and at the time I had a business partner too as well. And as we look to solve marketplace problems, you're always trying to figure out a solution for the market and the customer base, right?
Mm-hmm.
These days, everything's about local craft food. How do you make fast food healthier? It's certainly something that a lot of folks continue to address, but in our way, it was a unique way more than ever, I think, in Chicago in particular, and even across the country as we've done a lot of R&D coast to coast. So, offering folks a very familiar setting and a familiar delivery of food, but a unique flavor profile. So Vietnamese food certainly is done in this country, and it's wonderful from coast to coast, but it's not nearly as penetrated as Chinese food or sushi or Korean. So that gave us a little bit of a unique angle. And I always like to tell folks, at the end of the day, our approachability is probably not much different truly at the core than, let's say, a corner bakery or a Panera, because at the end of the day, I sell soups, salads, and sandwiches. They just happen to be called, banh mi and pho and different types of names like that. So we knew that we had something special in Vietnamese cuisine already. We also have a very heavy focus on the modern dietary needs of today. So gluten-free and dairy-free. Vietnamese is naturally that on its own in many ways. So a lot of rice noodles and a lot of gluten-free offerings. So that's sort of where we wanted to focus on. And eventually we had this tagline that we pinpointed of making healthier, tastier, right? So the true tagline is healthy just got tastier. Is sort of what we want to do. We want to make sure people can still have healthy food and tasty food that's healthy. So that's sort of the daily goal.
I think that's really important. I think that there's, over the years, there's been pushes for low fat or this, reduced calories, gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
And, we really need to focus on healthy. And you look at what we've dealt with, a health crisis over the past year. And in many ways, people who are much more susceptible are people who have comorbidities, maybe overweight or diabetes or things like that. And if you could, provide options to the public of healthy, tasty food, it can really improve the society in general, don't you think?
That's right. I mean, it's about sustainability. And I don't just mean, one way or another to find sustainable. I mean, yes, the eco footprints, about the type of material we use and the types of local food that has a smaller footprint, but sustainability on a personal level. So a great example for our menu is our Vietnamese iced coffee, which I'm sure you've had and a lot of folks have had. The wonderfully dark, rich coffee meets canned condensed milk, and that is certainly very delicious, and I love that drink. But that inspiration is certainly on our menu. But instead of using that canned product and that super sugary product, I never pitched that we do diet food. It's not 0-calorie food, but we do a scratch preparation of coconut milk, organic agave, and organic coconut sugar. So it's fully naturally sweetened. There's organic products. Yes, we're sweetening coffee, and we use fantastic coffee from Dark Matter Coffee up north, and then downtown we use Passion House. But in that recipe, I like to think of, I like black coffee every day, but if I'm ever going to sweeten it, if I'm going to be in my restaurants every day, I want to feel good, enjoying our products, and I want to feel good serving folks like yourself. And that to me is more sustainable. It's not like you're going to cheat one day and not cheat the other day. It's not like you're going to feel like you have to eat gluten-free one day. It's just giving you natural options that fit lifestyle choices, not so much, a diet regimen.
Right. And it's funny with coffee. I'm thinking a couple of years ago, I was in Vietnam for a day, and I took a tour, and they took me to a museum, like the tour guide, and a few other places, and I went to this like a convenience store, but it was like they had like this delicious coffee, and they kept bringing me more and more coffee, Vietnamese coffee beans, and my God, that was a lot of caffeine, but delicious.
Yeah, it's super dark roasted. We certainly take inspiration from that, but man, it's good stuff. It's just, you said, it's got to be done in concentration. It's a concentrated formats, right? And just in moderation.
Yeah.
I think as Americans, we don't necessarily always subscribe to that. So if we can find ways that naturally fit that sort of focus, all the better.
Absolutely. So we're going to get to, I want to talk a lot about like the type of food, like the actual foods and how you've succeeded and whatnot. But, for people who are wondering, like, how do you order your food, and do you have any kinds of promotions for people listening today?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, for us, we've certainly adapted, and we have definitely expanded our distribution opportunities, but both pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, we've probably given ourselves as many ways as possible for a restaurant to be enjoyed, if that makes sense. So at any given point, you mentioned our storefront over on Church Street, very traditional brick and mortar, carry out heavy, but certainly have a patio. You can order dine-in, but we've done things over the years to be very creative to get our food out to the public. So Northwestern being a great partner, whether it be football Saturdays at Ryan Field, we have a kiosk there. On campus, we do a wonderful grab-and-go business, so super fresh salads, summer rolls, pastas that you can get in the reach-in refrigerators at multiple locations on campus. We have a kiosk location, so even if you're on the go but looking to enjoy a freshly prepared meal, that's an opportunity. But I think to your question too as well, in terms of nowadays focus, online ordering is certainly ramped up. On our website, there's all the links there, but we have everything from DoorDash, Caviar, Uber Eats, Ritual, Grubhub, all the kind of go-to players to ensure that in any shape or form, whether you tend to want to use one app or another, that's certainly available.
And so we're going to talk about that more after the break, but the website, by the way, is eatvietnamnom.com. We'll be right back. We'll talk more about it and let you keep talking about it.
Got it.
Reading, writing, and math are a struggle for a lot of young students. At BrainLinks, we know those skills are what paves the way to independence and success. Our specialists will help your child develop the habits they need to make sure they strive, not only in class, but out in the world in general. And of course, for everyone's safety, our lessons are done completely online. For more info on our team members and to schedule your initial consultation, visit BrainLinksAcademics.com. That's BrainLinksAcademics.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search. From immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses, my clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.
Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number 1, stclassmovers.com. Mortgage rates have reached record lows recently. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Think of Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage as your personal mortgage shopper. She'll sort through racks and racks of home financing options until she finds exactly the right style and fit for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. In 2020, Beth closed over $294 million in loans in 883 separate transactions. Beth will be here for you too, because helping people get mortgages is what she does best. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisTeam.com or call 847-274-9745. That's 847-274-9745. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity, Illinois residential mortgage licensee.
Harrison's Reality Check.
Now there's an easy way to monitor for coronavirus at home in a moment.
Corona Alert.
So where have jobs grown? Well, in healthcare support, which is no surprise. Healthcare, including home health aides and medical assistants, increased 32%, while the yearly growth is usually only 5%. In 2019, 87% of all healthcare support workers were women, and most of these new jobs have also gone to women.
Harrison's Reality Check. GoHarrison.com.
Fever is a leading symptom of the coronavirus, so take your temperature twice a day with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It's quick and easy to use, and its accuracy is backed by more than 80 clinical studies. Have your family start and end their day with the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses. Your family can take their temperatures in seconds to know where they stand in the fight against COVID-19. Protect your family from the spread of this deadly disease and stay safe with Exergen.
This is psychic and medical intuitive Julie Ryan, host of the Ask Julie Ryan Show, heard Thursday nights from 7 to 9 Central on Chicago's Smart Talk, WCGO.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Inside the Skev, here with Alan Moy from Viet Nom Nom, which is super yummy. Alan, we were just talking before the break about how you can get the food. You can order it from basically any app. You can go to the store, to the restaurant. You could, you're all over the place. You also have a promotion that I'd like to share, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So right now, you have a promo that for all listeners, a buy one, get one deal on all combo meals through the end of March. So all you got to do is place the order over the phone in person, or use the order pickup link at vietnomnom.com. I'll have this in the show notes as well. And just use the promo code radio. So delivery is available. It's in the Evanston location only. But what a great deal. So if you've never had Viet Nom Nom and you haven't had Vietnamese food, you should definitely check this out. But for people who have not had your food or have never had Vietnamese food, what is it? What types of food do you serve?
Yeah, I think of Vietnamese food is like the best intersection of I think everything that we love about food. Yes, there's some elements of maybe Asian food that you've had before. So you're going to get flavors of soy. You're going to have some of those wonderful notes that you've had familiarly in the past, maybe with Chinese food or Korean food. But really, it's unique, like unlike others in the Asian categories, because there's a heavy predication on fresh flavors of like herbs and fresh cut veggies. So for us, again, I talk about sustainability all the time. I think it's a way that when you talk to any of my employees or myself, like we're eating our food regularly throughout the day, because it's something that I think speaks to freshness and health in the best kind of way. But at the same time, you're also eating in really familiar forms. So our banh mi sandwich, it's made with locally made fresh bread from Hewn Bakery, which is fantastic because I love working with Julie and Ellen. And so you have this ability to enjoy a sandwich, but certainly there's elements of pickles and there's elements of cilantro and all of our house-made sauces. They give you this ability to have this super unique experience, yet if you're still just craving a sandwich because that's kind of your daily routine, you're not getting too far out of your comfort zone, but at the same time being in a very unique meal. So Vietnamese food, it's naturally predicated on super fresh flavors, fresh herbs, and then you always get this really good punch of awesome flavors that can also be dietary friendly, like I said, briefly earlier, about gluten-free, dairy-free type, needs.
What's your favorite?
Hands down, I love my menu, but no matter what, if I have a go-to, it's always going to be my rice bowl. So the rice bowl is the most versatile. We always call it the Nom Nom kitchen sink. So it's this medley of a little bit of everything from our menu. So it's a big fresh bowl. You can get it with all rice, or if you certainly want to mix it up like I do, you can do half rice and half spring mix salad. And then it comes with a bunch of our veggie slaws. So we do a cabbage slaw, a pickled carrot daikon mix, and we also have our papaya salad. Pick your proteins. I typically go with either grilled chicken or grilled pork, and then we throw on top of there cilantro and scallions and crispy shallots. And then the best part, you can combo any of our house-made sauces. So it's something that I think appeals to everyone. It's every bit of flavors and crunchy and hot, slightly cold in different ways. It's just, like I said, it's the Nom Nom kitchen sink. So the rice bowl is always my go-to recommendation.
Yeah, but you can't go wrong in anything that you pick, really. And it's good to continue to try things out. And you were saying, though, that you have locations where sometimes at Northwestern football games, you've got a location there, you've got on campus, and you've got a place in the city, right? In Chicago?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So how does the city one work into it?
So that's an advent of both long-term plans we've had for a few years now, as well as the pandemic pivot. So we always envisioned ourselves, like I kind of mentioned earlier, this coast-to-coast mentality. So this concept to me is something that I think can really appeal to all markets. Naturally, in the Chicagoland area, Evanston being our wonderful home has always been the foundation to what we believe can be the opportunity to be downtown. So there's this big hairy goal we've always had to go downtown. Rewind back to this time last year, we literally had some opportunities lined up where we thought we'd be opening in the Loop and we'd be downtown, and insert the pandemic, and all of a sudden it turns to this world of things on pause for a few months. Very scary, very unknown, and the silver linings have certainly been similar and also different opportunities that have been allowed us to be able to open downtown. So Dr. Murphy's Food Hall, which is in the old Cook County Hospital building, part of that renovation right in the Illinois Medical District, we were able to open a food hall essentially overnight in July. And then to complement that location in that food hall, we have a kitchen that we have, which we use as both a commissary as well as a delivery kitchen for some of those similar apps we mentioned earlier, in East Garfield Park at a building called the Hatchery. And the Hatchery is also a community of food and beverage companies. So it's a membership and a partnership that we've had for over 4 or 5 years now, but we're physically now in the production space. So we use that to produce a lot of the prep that's needed downtown as well as now in Evanston. So as part of the pandemic, craziness, we were also able to very fortunately open downtown, both in a brick and mortar at the food hall, as well as a commissary kitchen on the west side of the city.
It's an interesting thing to talk about, and I honestly, I wish I had more time to talk, and we will in the next segment, I think. But it's like a cloud kitchen and an incubator at the same time, the Hatchery, which I think could potentially be a big shift that's happening within the restaurant industry, because my God, I hope this pandemic is ending, and it looks like, things are positive of what's going on right now, but delivery and not necessarily needing to have a brick and mortar everywhere, but being able to deliver everywhere, I'd say is a very efficient use of space and money.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, efficiencies and scale are the proverbial intangible dreams of opening a restaurant and running a restaurant. It's certainly hard to achieve. We're 5 years into this whole process, and we are at the cusp of really taking on scale and efficiency, I think, to a clip more than ever. Part of that world is both pre-pandemic, but I think amplified during the pandemic, revolving around these concepts, like you mentioned, the cloud kitchen concept, delivery. It's being able to use your existing spaces in creative ways more than maybe the traditional not just because of the pandemic, but also just for daily needs. And so I think this should be a roadmap moving forward, not just for Viet Nom Nom, but I think for the restaurant community at large. And you're seeing that already for sure.
Absolutely. Stick around though, everyone. We're going to take another quick break and we'll talk more about this.
Reading, writing, and math are a struggle for a lot of young students. At BrainLinks, we know those skills are what paves the way to independence and success. Our specialists will help your child develop the habits they need to make sure they strive, not only in class, but out in the world in general. And of course, for everyone's safety, our lessons are done completely online. For more info on our team members and to schedule your initial consultation, visit brainlinksacademics.com. That's brainlinksacademics.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search. From immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses, my clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.
Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number one, stclassmovers.com. Mortgage rates have reached record lows recently. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Think of Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage as your personal mortgage shopper. She'll sort through racks and racks of home financing options until she finds exactly the right style and fit for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. In 2020, Beth closed over $294 million in loans in 883 separate transactions. Beth will be here for you too, because helping people get mortgages is what she does best. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisteam.com. Or call 847-274-9745. That's 847-274-9745. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee.
Harrison's Reality Check.
Now there's an easy way to monitor for coronavirus at home in a moment.
Corona Alert.
California has seen deaths surge by more than 1,000%. Here in Los Angeles, more than 2,000 people die each week, and makeshift morgues are set up across the state. ICUs are full, oxygen's being rationed, and ambulance teams leave those unlikely to survive. The hope? Massive Disneyland is now a giant vaccination center, which will be the only time anyone gets to go to Disney for free.
GoHarrison.com.
Fever is a leading symptom of the coronavirus, so take your temperature twice a day with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It's quick and easy to use, and its accuracy is backed by more than 80 clinical studies. Have your family start and end their day with the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses. Your family can take their temperatures in seconds to know where they stand in the fight against COVID-19. Protect your family from the spread of this deadly disease and stay safe with Exergen.
Set your alarm Saturday morning from 5 to 7 a.m. for Around the House with Eric G., where we talk home improvement and interior design right here on Chicago's Smart Talk, WCGO.
Welcome back, everyone. Here with Alan Moy from Viet Nom Nom, which is an amazing restaurant in Evanston and in Chicago. And I have a feeling it's going to be growing nationwide. So it's pretty cool to have this opportunity to speak with you when you were just having a few locations. So I'll definitely make a placeholder on this episode for sure. But Alan, I think a lot of what we're talking about is, the restaurant and how you've adjusted and how you have the, different places here. But I think what's really, really important is that you're bringing a different flavor to people who may not have tried it before. You're bringing Vietnamese food. And, I think it's important, food is kind of the way that people learn about a culture, and travel is a way that people learn about a culture and understand each other. So, this past year has been really, I think, challenging. COVID, you've got, we had the protests and everything last year. We've had a lot going on, and there's been a lot of hate against the Asian community within America. And, it started with the, looking at people from China and thinking that they're sick, and then, the horrible events that happened this past week. How do you see that? I wasn't necessarily going to ask you about this, but I think it's important to discuss, especially with your background.
Yeah, no, I appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate you being conscious of this. The challenge and the opportunity is that, yes, this is a today topic and it's a sign of the current environment and climate, but certainly this is not just a new advent, right? And I think that's what we've seen with a lot of these recent protests, both around current events, but also still considered current events, from last May through the election year and everything in between. But to your point earlier, food in such a powerful way is a connector, is a way to do storytelling and breaking bread literally between, I think, people who don't otherwise understand each other, right? So much of my lifetime experience, in this sort of dichotomy of being an American and yet being a Chinese American and yet trying to find common ground is certainly a personal experience. I certainly also have plenty of privileges that I'm very fortunate and grateful for that maybe have not given me some of the other issues and dynamics that other folks in the community have. But from a food standpoint, it is very near dear to my heart to be able to use this as a very powerful medium because, growing up, for example, I grew up in the west suburbs. I'm not going to sit here and create any sort of sob story about, my upbringing, but I certainly had plenty of moments that were challenging. And I remember, growing up, if I ever brought a traditional item to school for a lunch or a snack, let's say one of my vivid memories is bringing baos to school. If I brought that, 25 years ago when I was a kiddo, 30 years ago, people would look at me and ask me, what is that? Or, oh, it smells, it's stinky, right? Nowadays, with the advent of food and the world of Food Network and Instagram and just people really, seeking out new food items. If I brought a bao out into a public space, people would be really excited. We serve now baos at our store, for example. They're like, wow, what kind of bao is that? Or I'd love to have a bao.
What is a bao for people who don't know what a bao is?
Yeah. So a bao is like the best of all worlds, right? It's like the ultimate, I think, universal language of food. It's typically, traditionally rather, it's fully enclosed, but it's like think of it as a meat pie or a ham pie. In the world of dumplings, from pierogi to empanadas to pot stickers, right? I think all of us from some sort of ethnic derivative can appreciate those sort of homemade classic foods. So from a bao standpoint, even at the store we call them sliders because they're open faced and they're sort of mini kind of sandwiches. There's a universal warm and fuzzy feeling of just knowing where those things come from. But I think in this world today, you can use food to establish communications, to further questioning and communication and dialogue around things that you just don't know. Yeah. And during this current environment, I'm still struggling to find full words on how to articulate the frustration, the disappointment, the flip side of it of hope and desire to fix this conundrum. But I think food for me is such a major point to share with folks. And I think sharing is the biggest key here. People's stories, backgrounds, strife, everything in between. So food certainly is a part of our, I think, mathematical formula in this world. And that's something that we certainly take a lot of pride in to share that and create some sort of that familiarity and approachability.
Right. I agree. I think by going and sharing and tasting, you begin to understand the culture of somebody who may not be from your culture, or you may not understand as well, and you're able to have that conversation. I mean, my God, the banh mi sandwich. There's a lot of trauma in that sandwich, and when you think about it, with a French bread in Vietnam, but people are able to eat it, enjoy it, and there's a conversation to be had over it.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's never to be assumed. And like I shared, I have this, constant daily focus of balancing my own experiences as well as things that are not my own, right? And so from a Vietnamese standpoint, I knew it was very important to me when I traveled back in 2017 actually, as an R&D effort, but also cultural exploration to understand what I was really getting into before we opened our storefront. And so, pho, which is a noodle soup for those who aren't familiar, that's such a classic. It's like people call it the Vietnamese ramen and so on and so forth. And it's so different, but so much of I think, starting point and the gateway for folks to understand what Vietnamese food is about. But when you really go to Vietnam, that meal is oftentimes breakfast. It's a dish that's hearty and fulfilling and nourishing when you eat in the morning, because in Vietnam, the working culture and the working class is going to have a day in the field, a day in the city, a day in manufacturing. And that's something that is very different than the big old giant bowls we eat in America at night. And it's sort of a starting point for dialogue to understand what that dish means to the culture who created it and the group that created that. So, for everybody who thinks pho should be 48 ounces of broth in this giant bowl, and across the country you see like these eating contests, certainly there's an opportunity to have some fun with it. But I think if you really have those opportunities to have a dialogue around what that dish really means and why it's consumed and why it's made a certain way, I think it's a way to create empathy and awareness of the other side that you may not be as familiar with. So pho is a good one, and like you said, banh mi is another great one to start to kind of break that barrier between different cultural groups who may not know each other as much, but through food.
Yeah, I mean, one show that I love is Somebody Feed Phil. I don't know if you watch that on Netflix, and he goes around the world. The whole story is when he started it. Is he grew up in New York, Jewish guy, just ate like very traditional foods, not a lot of different flavors. But then, now he was a writer. He created Everyone Loves Raymond. And he goes around the world and he eats food from all around the world, and he travels and he meets with people, and it's an amazing way to experience the culture. And he talks about this, how it's just, you're breaking bread, you're breaking down barriers. So I think when we look at what's been going on and the isolation that we've been feeling, it's so important to understand each other and to not, I mean, the tragedy of this past week is just unspeakable in many, many ways, but just the way that I think American culture has treated what's gone on in the past year is completely unfair towards people of Asian descent in this country. What did anyone have to do with COVID here? It's just, and what's gone on in the past too. So it's important to be able to have those conversations with people. And I think food is the way to really start those conversations.
Right. And I would never minimize such terrible acts of violence and things like that to only food, but gosh, if we can consider such a low barrier to entry to have that dialogue through food, which is so accessible and otherwise all around us, it's a starting point, right? And I think to me that's such a major, for all the things that people have challenges, understanding, well, what can I do, or where can I seek out these solutions? I mean, just look around us. There's Asian restaurants all around us. There's Asian-owned businesses all around us. Have that dialogue, and if we can do it over banh mi, and you want to ask questions versus presume and assume, and certainly break down those barriers, and that's a pretty wonderful way that's low-hanging fruit for all of us to at least try, right? That to me is a good starting point.
It is, and I think once you start something, you take the easy step, and then it becomes easier and more natural as you continue to go through it. We're talking about traveling, and I remember when I was on that trip to Vietnam, and I remember just being I'm 6 feet tall, white guy in the middle of a place that I don't know anybody. It's a completely foreign experience to me, and you become the other. And I think that being the other gives you the empathy for when you're not the other, and you could have that dialogue and you could stand up for each other.
That's right. Well said. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's why, like any restaurant, but your restaurant is fantastic. I definitely wanted to talk more about how you have adjusted during the pandemic. But I think that this is a very important topic to discuss, being so timely right now. But I want to talk a little bit about that after the break. We're going to have a break in a minute, but you've done some really cool events over on social media about food, and I just kind of want to get your take on what the future is going to be like, because we're in a time where things are really shifting right now. I think with vaccinations, which is an amazing thing. But I want to, like I said before, I think I'm talking to you at the beginning of something that's really big, where you're going to be around the country and maybe around the world. So everyone stick around. We'll be right back in just a few moments.
Reading, writing, and math are a struggle for a lot of young students. At BrainLinks, we know those skills are what paves the way to independence and success. Our specialists will help your child develop the habits they need to make sure they strive, not only in class, but out in the world in general. And of course, for everyone's safety, our lessons are done completely online. For more info on our team members and to schedule your initial consultation, visit brainlinksacademics.com. That's brainlinksacademics.com.
Hi, I'm Aaron Masliansky, longtime Skokie and Evanston resident, host of Inside the Skev, and local real estate expert. As a community connector and realtor with Dreamtown Realty in downtown Evanston, I know firsthand what makes the Skev such an amazing place to live. When I'm helping my clients buy and sell properties inside of the Skev or out, I'm doing it with the best technology and support team behind me at Dreamtown. During the pandemic, I've been able to help my clients seamlessly stay on track with their home search, from immersive 3D Matterport tours, professional photos, to virtual open houses. My clients can find their homes safely and comfortably, and even from their couch. When you're ready to make a move, know that I'll be here to help. You can always find out more about me at skevinston.com/real estate. Again, that's skevinston.com/real estate, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com.
Moving day is a happy day, but how can you be sure all of your stuff will get to the new place in the same condition they left the old place? Upgrade your experience to First Class Moving and Storage. You'll get a team of professionals who treat all of your belongings with care and have the right tools to make the job go smoothly. They even offer a full packing service. Upgrade to First Class Moving and Storage. They're local and independently owned. For more info, visit the website at firstclassmovers.com. That's the number 1, stclassmovers.com. Mortgage rates have reached record lows recently. If you see homeownership in your future, the future is now. Think of Beth Lewis at Cross Country Mortgage as your personal mortgage shopper. She'll sort through racks and racks of home financing options until she finds exactly the right style and fit for you. She'll get you pre-approved to give you an advantage over other buyers, and she'll close your loan quickly with a highly efficient process driven by advanced mortgage technology. In 2020, Beth closed over $294 million in loans in 883 separate transactions. Beth will be here for you too, because helping people get mortgages is what she does best. Visit BethLewisTeam.com to get started. That's BethLewisTeam.com, or call 847-274-9745. That's 847-274-9745. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029, www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Equal housing opportunity, Illinois residential mortgage licensee.
Here is today's top automotive tech story. I'm Nick Miles. The next level of sophisticated luxury is here with the introduction of the GS6 series from Karma Automotive. While it will retain the same exotic design of the award-winning Rivero GT, it will be offered at a more attainable price point for drivers who want the environmental benefits of the electric vehicle without sacrificing design or performance. The standard MSRP is $83,900. For more automotive tech news, go to testmiles.com.
These may be uncertain times, but what is certain is that every family needs a reliable thermometer. Protect your family with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen.
Are you tired of every radio station just sounding the same? On the Smart Talk Radio Network, we give you that alternative you've always wanted. No topics are out of bounds. No agendas being pushed. It really is that revolutionary. Listen for yourself at smarttalkradionetwork.com.
It's The Ramsey Show, where we talk about your life and your money. Listen weekdays at 1 on Chicago's Smart Talk, WCGO, AM and FM.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with Alan Moy from Viet Nom Nom, and we've been talking a lot about the restaurant. We've been talking about the events of this past week. And, what we haven't talked as much about is just how you've shifted during the pandemic. And you've done a lot of different things on social media. You've done a lot of fundraising for your employees. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, oh man, it's wild to think that we're just at that 1 year anniversary mark. We had just closed our doors on March 19th. So it's a sort of anniversary of sorts for, I think, a lot of us. But gosh, I'm glad and happy to report that I think the gut-wrenching kind of heartache type pivots are much more behind us than the more triumphant or successful feeling pivots. But gosh, like you mentioned, one of our first major focuses off the bat in the pandemic was taking care of our team members, right? I mean, at the end of the day, this is about people. This is about the livelihoods and safety of my team. So as much as the business needed to close for the impending lockdowns, it was about keeping my team safe. So without knowing what the heck we didn't know, which was a lot back then, it was about pivoting that way. I was probably one of the first, I think, to open up a GoFundMe fundraising page in Evanston, because I'd seen that I think across the country in a few different ways that were hit earlier. So we were fortunate to, I think, rally and galvanize the community to support my team. They certainly helped me ensure that we could pay my team out through the last few paychecks. But then I think, again, like I said, the path has been, I would never call them blessings in disguise. I tend to want to always focus on calling them silver linings at best. Mm-hmm. But the pandemic has allowed us to pivot to, I think, creative pathways as well as, new foundational pathways. So even early on, when we first developed our new menus, I've probably never had as much creative culinary fun. Developing new items, like we mentioned earlier, the bows and the sliders that we do there, and coconut fried rices and meal kits, things that we were able to I think, pivot in a fun way because the community needed them. People needed to cook more at home than ever. People needed to have new avenues to entertain more family members or kids or people inside the house because of the lockdown. So certainly pivots, I think, very quickly and more than not in the last several months have been about successful turns and changes more than anything else. But we're certainly not out of it, but very close.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's incredibly commendable of what you've done, and your employees are just fantastic. I mean, you can go into places where, you feel like people don't really want to be there, but my God, like you have great customer service.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, I was looking back at numbers just recently because I was having some chats, and in the month of February and March, we celebrated no less than, I think, 10 birthdays / anniversaries. So part of our mantra is celebrating our team regularly, and I've been very fortunate. Right now I have a staff of 12, not counting myself, and that doesn't sound like a lot because it's not, but I have yet 4 locations, and it speaks a lot to them because at any given time, the overwhelming majority of my staff will work in any one of my 4 locations during the same week, which is pretty remarkable because we're not talking about Skokie and Evanston only locations. We're talking about Evanston with a few locations in Evanston, and then East Garfield Park and the Illinois Medical District. So these are the same people who you might see in my Evanston storefront as well as serving you at the food hall, and that's a testament to them more than anything else. But all but one have also been with me for over a year, if not multiple years in some cases. And even that one person who's not, he's just a new hire from the summer openings. And we celebrate anniversaries. We call it the Hoodie Club. So we pass out hoodies as kind of the both reward and I think way to memorialize your time with us. And we celebrate that at the 6-month mark. So even that staff member is part of the Hoodie Club. And he's about 8 months into his tenure with us. So that's part of, I think, the anomalies that we have in our business versus maybe the industry standards in a positive way. Our team is fantastic, and I would be nowhere without them. So that's why that first focal point was taking care of them and their safety, and monitoring that throughout this pandemic.
Well, you build a tremendous culture for your employees there, and I think I could see how you could be Viet Nom Nom can be a case study for adapting during the pandemic. I could see Northwestern doing a class or you teaching it about how you've done it. And, it's just, I had Linda Dara on the show from Northwestern University several months ago, and she, is leading this whole charge to help people, businesses adapt to the pandemic. And you've done it. And I could just see how, you're going to be. And, in the next minute, if you could just tell us, where do you see your business in the next 5 years?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, someone even like Linda, for example, someone we worked with during the pandemic about our pivots. It's taking community on by storm and using that sort of partnership that we have with the community to continue to open new locations. So community is one of our biggest company pillars, not just for business, but for how we conduct ourselves. And as an example, all of our locations that we've opened during the pandemic have been in many ways partnership driven, subsidized driven openings. So in the next 5 years, we tend to think of as urban metro academic markets. So insert your markets like Austin, Ann Arbor, Madison, even Minneapolis, with heavy core academics as well as heavy core urban demographics. That allows us to open with partnership. So the way we've partnered with Northwestern University, the way we've even thought about UIC downtown, U of C, the way forward is often through these types of markets. And don't be surprised if you see these hub and spokes that we create already in Chicago and other markets where you have all sorts of concessions to grab and go, food halls, delivery, ghost kitchens. Those types of markets are our focus. And I would certainly love to get back to Ann Arbor as well myself.
Yeah, you went there. Are you looking for investors?
Always. So we have had very meaningful, significant dialogue with folks over the years. I think more than ever, though. So I say always because I think that's always a combo I'm open to. I think more than ever, as I'm a team of one, there is certainly a level of humility that I have every day to know that I have both my strengths and limitations, both physically as well as my own skill sets. So investors, capital support, that's certainly near and dear to our business plan currently to move forward. It was actively part of our 2020 plans, but I think now that we're in 2021 and more than foundational with the blueprint that we have, that is certainly 1000% part of our way forward. So that's something I'm going to be entertaining and actively entertaining as we speak.
That's fantastic. So just so everybody knows, go to eatvietnamnom.com. And then the promotion is that there's a promotion through March that you get for anyone listening, buy one, get one deal on all combo meals. And just mention radio, the promo code radio. I love what you're doing. I'm going to definitely stay tuned to what you're doing and support your business. So Alan, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Aaron, for the partnership. Always means the world to me. So thank you for having me on today.
You're welcome. And thank you for everyone for listening. And, just so everyone knows, if you want to listen to more episodes or you want to hear about the episode with Linda Dara, go to skevinson.com. She really talked a lot about this, the adaptation of business for this time period. So it's really interesting, but, go ahead, order on, your website, wherever it may be, and stick around for the Hannah and Fred show, which is coming up right after this. Everyone have a good week, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.